Imagine a space for South Asian women where stories are not just told, but actually felt. This is ROOH, Rising Over Obstacles and Healing, brought to you by Jyoti and Monica, two friends who set out to carve a little space and make a difference by sharing stories and fostering healing and strength within our community. We invite you to listen and reflect, finding your own path one story at a time. And just for sticking around, there's a golden biscuit at the end of each episode.
So it's the winter of 2013, and we have some friends over. You know, this is before kids, so we're definitely hanging out late night, probably getting together around after dinner or so.
Yeah.
It has to be around 10, 11 p.m. You were there. I mean, you were always there, mostly. We're in our basement. We had just made it and renovated it. So remember, we used to watch a lot of movies and things like that after going out, get together.
Yeah.
And a specific movie in a moment keeps coming back to my mind. It was the movie Gunchucker.
Yeah.
Do you remember it? It was starring Imran Hashmi and Vidya Balan.
Yeah, I think I remember what you're going to talk about.
You do. So we must have started really late because I remember we had the lights, low. It's dark, and we watched the movie. And in Bollywood movies, I mean, they go on for a while. We had been watching for at least probably an hour, hour and a half, and all of a sudden, of course, there's a scene, and we're fine. We're all adults, and there's it's about him. I think it's like a romantic scene, definitely physical. And all of a sudden, I hear a door creak. And I'm like, wait, what? And lo and behold, it's my father-in-law standing there in the hallway, looks at the screen, and then turns around, looks at us, shakes his head, and walks away. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a conversation in the movie about condoms.
Yeah. Yeah, something, about protection and all that. And, it's all, and I remember it felt like such a slow motion, like it happening, like it just, and then, it's like that time when you're like, well, do I forward it? Do I not forward it? Where's the remote? And like,
Oh, yeah. I remember I would never want to hold the remote, even at home, because same situation,
Right.
It's essentially, this is what it's like living with your in-laws in a desi household, basically.
Yeah. You're married and you're still worried about, oh my God, I hope they don't, see me watching something inappropriate. Not that I purposely am. It's in the movie. What am I supposed to do?
It's just like, they just have a knack for coming in right at that time.
Oh,
like, the whole movie will just be like PG. It'll just be like nothing going on. And then the one scene that there might be in the movie is when they walk in.
When they walk in.
Yeah.
And I remember just like, oh, I don't want to see him tomorrow in the morning.
Well, all of us trying to face him after that. You're just like, I think I remember we kind of called it early. Like, we're just like, all right, this movie's not all that interesting anyway, so let's go home.
Yeah, because to be honest, all these years later, I still can't really remember the premise of the movie, but I remember that scene, that moment.
Exactly. That is so true, because I also don't remember anything else about this movie.
Yeah.
I just remember this occurrence, So, so I guess we're going to talk about it today. So let's talk about what it's like living with your in-laws.
Yeah. And, it's funny, when I first moved here and I started working, I got into a workplace where there were people that were of my age, and, I've described them, my family dynamics, and they're like, wait, you're living with your in-laws? I was like, yeah. And they're like, by choice? And I was like, yes. And then a lot of the times, because, they were American, they would ask like, so what's it like? And I guess what I just described to you is one of those moments of what it's like. One of many different, takes on what it's like to be living with a new set of parents.
Exactly. I guess that pretty much sums it up. Yeah, that's what it's like living with your in-laws. It's constant entertainment.
Yeah.
Embarrassment.
Oh, yeah. Ways to humble you, to let you know where your place is.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Very true. So you and I both, we live with our in-laws, and I know that in a lot of cultures it's common, and in a lot of cultures it's not. Specifically in the South Asian culture, it is common to live with your in-laws, even though I would say that at this point it is changing.
Hmm.
Did you always want to live with your in-laws? What was it like for you growing up?
I don't think it was something I wanted or didn't want. It was just what I was exposed to growing
Mm-hmm.
up. My grandparents from my mom's side, my nanny G, she didn't live with either of her children, her sons, or
Mm-hmm.
even like her daughters. She made sure she had her own house, even her children, made sure everyone was really independent. Even extended family from my father's side, I would always see if whenever anyone got married, they would just kind of move along in their ways, either rent a
Mm-hmm.
house, buy a house. It was kind of like you became independent. You were a couple and you moved out and you made a home for yourself. So that was kind of the norm growing up. And also what I observed, I know I grew up in Canada, but there weren't that many South Asians where I grew up. So it was just
Mm-hmm.
kind of the norm. You just saw that, like,
Yeah.
people just get married and you move out.
Yeah.
So I remember when my husband, well, at that time, my fiance, we spoke about like living and all that. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, you're going to live here with me at my house. And I was like, wait, what? He's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're going to live here. And I was like, you have like another 10, 12 people living in your home. It's him. It was his two sisters, his aunt, his cousins, and also another uncle and aunt of his. Actually, so in New York, they had purchased their home together with an uncle of his. So
Yeah.
it was a two-family home. So
Okay.
although they lived on a floor above us and they had their own living room, kitchen, all that, to
Yeah.
me, it still felt like I was like one unit,
Yeah.
right?
Because it's like one front door pretty much,
Yes,
right?
one front
Yeah.
door, and you kind of make your way
Yeah.
whichever level it is that you're residing at. And we never got into an argument over it. Like I can't say it was something that angered me or anything like that. Again, I was younger,
Yeah.
probably didn't think much of it. He explained to me, the reasoning and all that. And I was like, well, okay. I mean, if we're going to, we're going to. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I was definitely more hesitant,
Mm-hmm.
initially. But I think it really, truly worked out in my favor coming
Mm-hmm.
into a new country, a new city, and also being very shy. I was kind of already given a peer group and
Yeah.
also like grown-ups to kind of guide me into this
Yeah.
new chapter of my life.
Yeah. Exactly. Even for me, I don't think I gave it much thought. I don't
Hmm.
think we even, like my husband and I, we never even had a discussion about it. It was just assumed that I was going to get married to him, move, and live with the family. There was
Hmm.
never really any sort of discussion as to like, oh, we're going to live separately or we're going to live with my parents. There was just no discussion. It was just assumed. And
Hmm.
I think for me too, like I always actually wanted to live with whoever I would marry, like with his parents,
Yeah.
because part of me, the way I always looked at it is I have a brother and I wanted my brother to take care of my parents, to
Hmm.
live with my parents. And I just couldn't fathom the thought of my parents being on their own. So
Hmm.
I think for me, I always pictured them with my brother and whoever he would marry. So for me, it was only natural that I do the same for wherever I go. So that was a thought in my mind that if I want my brother to take care of my parents, his parents as well, then I have to fully support the person I marry to also take care of his parents because I wouldn't want to be a hypocrite.
See, for me, I was like, I mean, obviously we got married a while ago. I was like, well, you do that when they get older, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I was accustomed to and used to.
Mhm.
That's what I always saw that grandparents, when they got older and they couldn't take care of themselves or they needed help, that's when they moved in to
Mhm.
whichever child it was. It wasn't always the male, even
Yeah.
within Punjabi family households.
Oh.
So I think for me, that's why like a lot of the things of seeing that more traditional route that I really feel like is very prominent in New York was
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah. Well, New York actually, we talk about this all the time. I've talked to other friends who have come to New York after getting married from like the West Coast. And I think we all agree on the fact that New York, despite it being a very big city, it's very traditional.
Yes.
Especially the Indian population, the South Asian population in New York, it's very, very traditional compared to other parts of the country.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the women still don't drive. And that could be because there's a lot of public transportation options and whatnot. So they just, take public transportation everywhere. But like, they're very dependent on the men in the family. And it's very interesting to make that comparison. And so I thought it was like a West Coast versus East Coast thing. But since you noticed it as well, and you're from the same coast, just from Canada, it's particularly New York then, I would say.
Yeah, probably. And it's funny because when you hear New York, it's like the biggest city in the world, right?
Yeah. So you automatically assume very progressive, very modern and whatnot in terms of just even like the thinking.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not, yeah. But, again, I was really lucky that my in-laws, though we lived in a traditional style family, like their thoughts and their way of living wasn't as traditional.
Well, I mean, I think the first time I walked into your house, you were playing video games.
Yeah, I was newly married.
Yeah. In basketball shorts, if I'm not mistaken, I think.
Basketball shorts. My father-in-law had to call me twice, me and my sister-in-law, because we weren't coming up because we were playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And he's like, come upstairs now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that definitely helps when it comes to living with your in-laws. I think that there's a lot of negativity around it sometimes.
Right.
And I don't think that it's always a negative experience. I think that a lot of times it's just a matter of when you're older, even if you're with your parents, you have to learn to adjust. You have to learn to really work with one another, accept each other's differences, and, agree to disagree on some things. And I think when we're at our in-laws, we just automatically assume it's because, oh, they're just my in-laws and that's why we're in this argument. That's why this thing is happening. Not necessarily thinking that even if we were with our parents, it would be the same situation.
Yeah.
Case in point, my dad, when I was engaged and he knew I was going to get married and move to New York and live with my in-laws, he started using real everyday examples as teaching moments. So one of the moments that I can recall very clearly, which sort of served as a guiding principle for me once I started living with my in-laws, was, we were at home in Seattle. I'm with my mom Saturday morning. We're cleaning the house, sort of a routine for us on the weekends. We would just kind of, tag team and clean. And she tells me to take care of the shoes that were at the front of the house. And I didn't see any shoes. And she's like, she goes to me, "Tu anniya tenu dikhda nahi, tere samne ta juttiyan payiyan." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I don't see any shoes." And she's like, "Waqe tu to anni ho gayi," and samne hai, dekh diya nahi, aap dekh. So and then obviously I looked and yes, the shoes were there. I saw them. I laughed, haha. And then I went and I put them away. And, next thing I know, my dad was sitting there in the family room and reading his paper and he starts laughing. And I'm like, what's going on with you? Like, why are you laughing? Right. And he's like, I'm just thinking. He's like, "Main soch raha haan, teri maa ne kiya tenu, tu anni hai, tenu dikhda nahi." And you're just laughing. You just laughed it off. Like she called you blind and you didn't care. It just like rolled off your shoulders. And he's like, I'm just thinking, what if your mother-in-law had said the same thing to you? How would you have reacted?
Oh, wow. So smart.
Yeah. So it caused me to sort of think about it. And I'm like, I guess I would have gotten upset if she called me blind.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, this is where the difference comes in. He's like, I want you going in there thinking of her as your mom. And just like your mom said all that stuff to you and it didn't affect you, just do the same thing. And he's like, if you see it that way, your life will just be so much easier.
Yeah, that's beautiful advice.
Yeah, right? I think my dad really had a knack for turning every opportunity into a learning opportunity. And this was just one of those ways where it was so vivid and it just sort of sunk in. And so I really applied this principle in my life. You know, obviously, I don't think my mom-in-law's ever called me Annie. I don't think she's ever. But whatever situation has come up, I've always thought of it as, well, you know, what if my mom had said the same thing? Or what if my mom had reacted the same way? How would I react? Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I've learned is that, you know, people will sometimes say something. And I think we have the tendency to make a mountain out of a mole. And maybe it's best to leave it as a mole.
Yeah. And, you know, the thing is, like, once you're living with your in-laws, mother-in-law, father-in-law, even like a sister or brother-in-law, like they become like your family that you were growing up in because you see each other all day, every day. You're doing everyday things. So I know I've said that to my father-in-law sometimes, you know, he'll be like, oh, you said this or you acted like that. And I'll be like, well, I'm only arguing with you because I call you dad and I would do that with my dad too, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because you get to a place where I believe, which is good, that you're comfortable with each other, that you can express and share your feelings. And, you know, if you can openly get to that, it is nice. Like you're only going to have arguments and little disagreements where there's love and there's an actual relationship.
Exactly. Like if there aren't any arguments, then you're not being your true self in the relationship. That's how it is for me. Like if I've never gotten in an argument with you, there's never been any bad feelings, anything, then I basically haven't gotten very real with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure even between you and I, there have been some times where you'll say something that really irritates me or I say something that irritates you. And then we just like blow off steam and then we're back to like, you know,
that's what you do with family, right? So,
yeah, exactly. That's what you do. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, this is my perspective. This is my experience. And it's not necessarily the same for everyone. However, I feel that you really can choose the type of relationship you want to have with people. I think sometimes we overcomplicate things, and it's really as simple as you choose to have a good relationship and you will work towards that. There's so many times, and I'm sure you know this firsthand because we've talked about this, where our kids will say stuff to us that's really mean.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like they'll say things and they'll just really hurt your feelings. They have no filter, but we still love them. We still care for them. We still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we ignore those things because we know their heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
So I think that's really a principle you have to apply to your life. Like if you decide that this relationship is important to you, you decide that you want it to be a good relationship, then you let go of things that bother you and you hold on to things that really are like the positives, right? You hold on to that and you build on those positives.
Like life's not always going to be a constant, right? There's going to be ups and downs. I think at the end of this, like as a South Asian, like when you get married, you don't get married to just the person, you marry the family.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, whether you are living or not living with them, really you have to build upon this relationship. And it shouldn't just be on the daughter-in-law, you know, it should be on everyone. I think that's one con, which I don't really appreciate about the South Asian culture, is that how, like, as soon as the girl gets married and comes in, it's like, oh, you're going to keep our family together, or you're going to, you know, all these like expectations. When you think of it, someone is coming into your house. You should make them feel welcome. They're leaving behind everything of theirs to come into a home that's yours. And, you know, it's a lot going on. I think we don't realize it.
Yeah.
Of how big of a change it is for everyone in the household, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to become one unit and you're living together, it's like, well, you're single and now you're married into this person. And most of the times, I mean, it may be different now, but it's like you used to not have lived with your significant
Yeah.
other. So now you're
Mm.
learning not only how to live with this person, but with their other family members and
Yeah.
how to do that and how to navigate it. And then,
Yeah.
you're coming in with your habits and your rituals and what you think is the right way, quote unquote, to do things. And
Yeah.
then, but you're coming into a different household.
Yeah, exactly. And they have
True.
their own way of doing things. And
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the most important things to talk about is, well, a couple of things. I think first of all, I think it's very important that you have a solid relationship with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
because you're leaving everything, you're going to this household, you're going to be living, like you said, not only just with this person, but his entire family. So you have to really make sure that you know his habits, like as much as you possibly can about him, because you're not always going to be able to have open discussions with his family right there. Like, you
Yeah.
can't bash the guy if his mom is sitting right there.
I mean, I do now, 15 years later, but I
Yeah.
didn't then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, now my mom-in-law will do the bashing for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's
you
like
know?
they come to me to,
Yeah,
but
exactly. It's different now, but like
yeah,
initially you can't really do that,
you
right?
can't. In some sense, I do feel if it's something that isn't that urgent, I do feel like a couple should be given time to grow together
Yeah.
before they're put into a situation where all eyes are on them and
Mm-hmm.
they're learning how to be a married couple.
Yeah.
And, that's not always the case. And that can be very difficult. And I think
Yeah.
even in the most happiest, nicest, sincerest families of in-laws, there will always be something. Because again,
Yeah.
like when you go back, like if I was right now not married and still living with my parents, I would probably still have those kinds of disagreements, arguments,
Oh,
and things like
yeah.
that because you're constantly growing.
Yeah.
You have different ways, even though you may have been raised within the same family household.
Yeah.
So as you start getting older, you kind of get into your ways of how you want to do things, and you don't want to be told when, what to do, those kinds of things. But parents will always be parents.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you want to wait till the end of the day to do all the dishes,
Yeah.
then that's what you want to do. But parents
Hmm.
aren't going to like that.
No.
It's like after every meal, why aren't the dishes done?
Yeah. Those little comments and things like that. If you look at the bigger picture and it's something you've wanted or you feel like this is something that's good for my family, you're going to have to ignore those little things because
Yeah.
they'll happen no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Because even if you don't live with your in laws and once you have children, you'll probably be doing that to your kids.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the other thing too, is that I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, I have two boys, and when they get married, what are the chances that they're going to be living with me? Probably not very high.
Hmm.
But if they do decide to live with me and a new girl enters the family, I was thinking I'm going to have to be very flexible. I'm going to have to be very adjusting. I'm going to have to really work to adapt to this new family member and, make her feel welcomed, but it's not going to be easy on me either. And when I thought about that, then I actually turned it around and I thought, well, this is what my mother-in-law had to do. All this time I've been getting credit for, oh, you're such a good daughter-in-law. You live with your in-laws. Let's be honest. If you are someone who lives with your in-laws, you do get that praise, right? You do
Hmm.
get, people will say, we're so proud of you. It's so nice that you live with your in-laws. And I feel that the in-laws need to be praised for that as well, because it goes both ways. So, my mom-in-law, my dad-in-law, they had to adjust to my habits, to how I do things, and we had to find a middle ground. So it's not just the daughter-in-law that's doing all the adjusting and keeping the family together, like you said. It's work that needs to be done on the in-laws end as well. So I think the houses that are successful in a joint family are ones where it's adjustment that's made by everyone. It's a
Yeah.
mutual effort.
Yeah, it's like everyone's juggling a ball, right? It's like we say like the daughter-in-law. And now like I love that perspective that you just put out there because you don't really think of that. It's like, yes, you're going
Yeah.
into another woman's house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's not even about another woman. Like I don't think either of our mother-in-laws, I know some do, but have that like queen mentality or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like you said, like you're used to the way you do things and the number of people that live there and how you eat, what you do and all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's also the husband, the son as well, because then he has to hear from both sides
Yeah.
sometimes.
Something that I told myself is that I would never put my husband in the middle.
Same. Yeah.
Because I think that it's unfair. First of all, I can speak for myself. So if there's an issue, I can address it directly with my mom in law, my dad in law, brother in law, sister in law, whoever it is, right?
Right.
I don't need to involve my husband in that. And second of all, like, I can't expect him to choose one over the other. It's not fair. And honestly, I can't respect someone who doesn't stick by his parents.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes back to the fact that I have certain expectations from my brother when it comes to, my family. So then to me,
It's both ways. If you wouldn't do that, you wouldn't leave your parents. Why would you expect your spouse?
yeah,
Right?
exactly,
Just because you're
right?
not physically there living with your parents, there's a lot of times I've heard so many people say, like, I don't want you communicating with your parents. I don't want
Mhm.
you attending, any of your family events. So if I
Mm.
would not take that from my husband, there's no way I would ever dish it to him.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I will say is I've never really put my husband in the middle. I've never had him choose. It's just unfair really to him, and also it kind of like sends the message that you can't advocate for yourself.
Right.
I would say the biggest adjustment that my husband has had to make is eating roti buttered the bottom side. I was going to bring that back in.
Oh my God, of course you would. I want to know the results of that poll that we did.
Yeah. Apparently 75% butter it the way you do. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I knew it
Yeah.
the right way.
Whatever. No. All 75% of you are wrong.
Well, listen, my kids actually took your side. Well, I don't know if they took your side, but they were saying, I don't understand. What's the big deal?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe tomorrow I'll try. Maybe I'll butter the other side and I'll see if it's a big deal to them or not. Then we'll know.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Is
could
there a
try
difference
that.
in taste?
Yeah, exactly. So, going back to our talk about our in laws, I think we have to be mindful of the fact that not everyone's in a situation where they can have that relationship with their in laws. Like I said, it's both ways. We're lucky that our moms in law were willing to adjust, to compromise, but not all of them are.
Mm-hmm.
There are women who feel that it's their house and whoever comes in has to just go according to how they do things and basically follow the traditions that they have set in place, right?
Yeah, it's hard and you hear about it. And, it's not always just, has to be someone that's just came from India or so. It's just, unfortunately, a mentality. And it gets hard, it gets tense at home.
Yeah.
And, we understand that. At the end of the day, the best thing for any kind of relationship or family is for you to know and have set your boundaries and to
Yeah.
create a space where you guys can, hopefully have good communication. So, one other thing about, I feel like our Indians and South Asian culture is that, like, if we can't live together, there is no relationship. And that's not how it should be. It
Yeah.
should be
Yeah.
that, we have a great relationship whether we are together or not. And like,
Mm-hmm.
let's create a space that's actually is comfortable for
Yeah.
everyone instead
Yeah.
of just doing what society expects of you or, oh no, what will people say now? We tried to live together, but it didn't work out. Like, no, like that's life. You
Yeah.
don't do things for others. You do it for yourself. You do it for your mental health.
Yeah.
Because, just as we can say, like, there's a lot of daughter-in-laws who probably have issues living with whoever's in that house aside from their husband, it could also be the other way around for the in-laws, the
Mm-hmm.
parents. And even if one is giving trouble to the other, it's still just a toxic environment. Like, why stay in that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, if
Exactly.
you are the one who's causing the issue, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law, whatever it is, why do that to yourself and to someone else? Like, just get out of it and
Yeah.
create a healthy home for yourself.
I think that's a very important point that you bring. I think at the end of the day, we're all in charge of our own mental health. That's not a responsibility anyone else has to take. We have to really take the reins on this, and we have to be intentional about it. So I think first and foremost, we should do what makes us sane, basically.
Yeah.
Or what helps us stay sane. So find an outlet for yourself, right? And let it be a non negotiable. If it's exercise, if it's shopping, if it's, whatever it is that
Yeah.
you need to do for your mental health, make it known. Just say it. I know that for me, it's going out on my walks, jogging, whether there's stuff going on at home or not, whether there's things that need to be done, whatever it is, I feel my best when I've had my morning walk. And I think everyone knows that now. So everyone just knows that, she's not someone who's going to get up first thing and start doing things because she needs to get her walk in initially. And once I do, then, I'm a better person. I show up better for my family. I've just found that it's really good for my mental health. And I'm not neglecting any of my responsibilities. I'm just choosing to do this, and everyone's learned that this is what I like to do, right? So there's no judgment over it. I used to initially feel guilty, just like we all do. And not because anyone said anything, I would just feel guilty, like, oh, there's so much work that needs to be done and I'm out here for a walk. And I changed my mentality. I started thinking, no, that work will still get done, but I need to do this to feel my best. So I think we all have to find what it is that makes us happy, that is a release for us, that brings us peace. And whatever it is, make it a non negotiable. Just do it. And then show up for the relationships in your life, a better version of yourself. What is it for you, Monica?
My non-negotiable, quiet, silent morning.
Okay. Yeah.
Good morning is the most I can do in the morning. Like, that is it.
You mean I can't show up to your house in the morning and start chatting your ear off?
No, I can't.
You're going to kick me out?
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm not going to kick you out. I'm just going to shut the door. My quiet, I really, really, I love my quiet time. I've always been an early riser. Even during school, I would get up way before my alarm. And I just love that silence in the morning. I really take it in. When I first joined work, I had a choice of going into work anytime between 6 to 10. And I used to choose purposely to start at 6 a.m. Anytime between 6 a.m. to 6:30. Because that silence when I would get up in the morning in the house, the drive, even the silence at work, it just it sets my tone for the day. And then after that, I can, be running around, do all that, everything. I just like quiet, peace and quiet early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I need a good 30 minutes to an hour. And I was so lucky that my sister-in-law had the same habit.
So it worked out for you.
It worked out. All right. So I want to know, I'm going to do rapid fire right now. Your top 2 pros and cons living with your in-laws. Go quick.
Oh gosh. Pros. Work gets done really fast because everyone shares in the responsibilities.
Yeah. Good. All hands on deck.
Yeah. And I just learned that I'm completely the opposite from you. I don't like alone time and just quiet all the time. So I like that there is hustle bustle in the house. I like that there's people in the house. I like hearing, even if I'm not engaging with them, I like hearing movement. I like knowing that there's, life happening.
Okay. You're very much like my husband then.
Yes. Well, we are very similar.
You are very similar.
That is why you gravitated towards me.
Oh, yeah. I know.
It actually validates my relationship with you and his too, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So cons, I would say top 2 would have to be grandparents love to spoil kids. So my kids get very spoiled and they get a lot more candy than I would allow. So that's definitely, I would say, one of the cons. And The other con would be the lack of privacy, because sometimes you do want to watch an Imran Hashmi movie
and not have someone walk in.
and not worry about someone walking in, You want to see that kissing scene sometimes, I would say those are probably the cons that I can think of, and I'm sure they're different for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, so right back at you, Monica. Now you tell me 2 pros and 2 cons of living with in-laws.
All right. Top of my head, first one. I think my kids come first thing in my mind. I love the relationship they have with their grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
I love how it flourishes them, the language that they pick up on from them, learning how to speak Punjabi. And also I see how it kind of relates back to other relationships. They love being around family members, distant cousins. Whenever we're around my side of the family, they show just as much respect, and they love being around elderly. And it's truly because at home they have that love with their grandparents. They get to spend all that time, which is great. Number 2, free babysitting. I would say.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big one, free babysitting.
It's a big one. I've had to pay for that out here, and it's not that cheap, people.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your cons?
I would say my husband, grown man, still babied in a lot of things, or allows to be babied, I should say. Definitely still will be like, Mom, where's this? Mom, how do I do that? Or, I feel like when you're out on your own and you have to live on your own, you definitely are forced to be more mature, to learn more household skills. Whereas if you're still with your parents, it slides.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah. Like my husband doesn't know how to turn on the washer and dryer.
Oh, he didn't go to school for that? Only your parents sent you. Oh, yeah. That happened to me too. Yeah.
Although I will say that I think he does know now.
Okay.
But he learned very late into the marriage. What's your other con, you would say?
Other con has to be, I just want to watch my TV, I just want to, catch up on Imran Hashmi and whatever ladies he's got in his movies, what he's trying to do.
And not have anyone walk in on.
Yeah, not have, a parent who has that, internal signal and trigger like, wait, something's going on. Let me go check, even though it's the middle of the night. This shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Let's bring it back to our audience, listeners. You tell us what your pros and cons are living with your in-laws. So before we leave, Monica, why don't you tell us what the golden biscuit for today should be?
I would say that, marriage is really, you're creating a family, not just between you and your husband, but also between the relationship between your parents and your in-laws and your husband. So it's one big unit that's getting together. So, make sure it's one that is comfortable for everyone. A space, whether you're living together or not, whatever it is, it's a very important relationship, a very important family, because anytime in life, you always need those that are close to you, and they'll always be there for you. So might as well, when you're going to take that first step, let it all out in the beginning. What are your expectations? What are their expectations? And go into it with an open mind. Yeah. Like, I love what your dad had said. Don't just go in there being like assigning these labels to these relationships. They're taking you on as a daughter, and you're adding on a mother and father. So just as you and your spouse grew into this love, grow into this family with an open heart.
That's beautiful. I love that. Be intentional about it. Have open communication. Talk about it. A lot of times, I think when you stay silent about the little things that bother you, sometimes they turn into really big things.
Yeah.
So learn ways to communicate your feelings in a very respectful, loving way so that it's not hurting anyone's feelings. And you're just learning to live with one another. And like you said, grow into a beautiful family.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to ROOH. We appreciate you joining us as we cultivate a community of strong, empowered women, one story at a time. If you or someone you know has a story you'd like to share, please contact us at roohdaraz@gmail.com. That's ROOHDARAAZ@gmail.com. Also, do us a favor and please share this podcast with your sisters, your mom, your friends, aunties, your eyebrow lady, like any lady you know. You get the idea. Till next time, kush raho, be well.